A lovely day to you and welcome to Youth Time on Benue Television. I am very much delighted to be with you today and discuss something very interesting. And before I go on, I just want to say a happy International Youth Day to all our young persons out there here in Benue State and in Nigeria as a whole. My name is Dorcas Chia and I welcome you to this episode. Just like I have said to Just like I have wished you happy International Youth Day, today we are going to be discussing the International Youth Day. We are going to be looking at the theme, what it's talking about, and what is the aim for this celebration. What do our young persons need to know about this celebration? What's the message this celebration is bringing to our young persons this year? And I have with me two beautiful young ladies who are going to be talking about this celebration. But before I introduce them to you, let's go on a short break, and when we return, the program will kickstart. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Your Time on Benue Television, and my name is Dorcas Chia, and we are going to be discussing the International Youth Day. I have with me in the studio a very beautiful young lady, and she's very, let me say, industrious, and let me I don't want to call her, give plenty accolades, but let me just go straight and introduce her. Her name is Dr. Praise Akobo, and she is the ED, Youth of Development Initiative. Good to have you in the studios this morning.
Thank you.
Welcome. A young doctor, that's something. That's something nice.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Okay. How do you feel? We're celebrating the International Youth Day, and I just want to ask, how do you feel as a young person? What's the feeling being a youth in Nigeria on this special celebration?
Okay, so being a youth in Nigeria and witnessing the International Youth Day for me, it's both amazing, and there's a part of it we all know that we're not so happy about, but then personally I'm excited being a youth at this time.
Okay.
And one of the things we always attribute to youth is our strength. So it's amazing to be alive, and it's also much more amazing that it's same for this year, navigating towards our strength.
Yes.
So of course it's a time to be alive.
Yes.
And to be a youth.
Yes, for me, I must say I feel very great. There's something about being a young person, like it's just like a whole, you know, the way someone will say the sky is not too big for youth, not too big for everyone, not too small, everyone can fly and everything. So it's just like a big field. You just have to a blank check. You're able to do what you want, and make your dreams come true and achieve a lot. So it's a good day and time to be a young person. Yes. You don't have this twice, you don't experience this twice. So it's something to celebrate, and it's something to thank God every day. So what do you think is the aim of this celebration? Every year this is celebrated on the 12th of August.
Yeah.
Every year we celebrate the International Youth Day. do we celebrate the International Youth Day?
Okay, so from I think that was 2000, 1999. Then of course towards 2000, it was officially it was declared in 1999. 2000, the 12th August was declared, of course, and the engagement began, and of course the celebration on the 12th of August. And the reason why that was done, or the reason why we needed to have a day like this, is so that the concerns of youth can be addressed, so they can listen to concerns. And I could recall that it was a gathering with the Minister of Youth in different countries. That was where the endorsement happened at the UN. So for me, I would say that this day has been declared, well, it's no longer this day, but of course the 12th of August has been declared as the International Youth Day, so that we can all be heard, seen, and of course see ways in which we can be welcomed into different aspects and developments of our different countries. So that's why each year you have like a team that focuses or that has something linked towards the youth. And we were discussing earlier on that for last year it was something around green skills, right? We've had something on mental health, we've had something on education, and it keeps going that way. And of course it's amazing that each of the particular day that is celebrated, that's each year, there is something important I've seen that happens on that day. And what happens, I see the advocacy drive more than ever for youth. In fact, this year, which I know that there will still be time to talk about, there was something unique that happened, and I was really, really glad that that happened. So, of course, it's something that I am so excited about.
Okay, all right. So, earlier when you said we talked about green skills, and I would, like we were saying earlier, like green skills. When I was thinking about last year, green skills was kind of somehow for me then, but this year it's kind of really interesting, and we are talking about, I love the theme for this year. It's really very interesting for me. We are talking about from click to progress, digital pathways for sustainable development. And one will just ask, what's the message they're trying to pass across this particular year? So I ask.
Okay, so that's like one interesting thing for me. In fact, the first thing that caught my interest was the clicks to progress.
Yeah.
So I was 2 days ago, I was somewhere, and someone just said something funny. The person said, from clicks to progress, you're referring to youth, right? That means tapping is part of it's part of the clicks. That through that means they are progressing.
Yes.
So it's, in as much as it sounded funny, but there's a part to it and there's a message to it as well. So for me, the clicks to progress, and of course talking about the digital pathways for youth in achieving sustainable development goals, are like markers or indicators that should move us from where we are. Of course, we've gotten to a particular height now in digital technology and innovation, but now we want to see how far have we gone and how can we move. That's why the progress is there. How can we move to where we should be? Now, I was looking at the statistics we have currently, and I saw that from 2015, when the Sustainable Development Goals began, of course, there's been an amazing shift in global connectivity, and as well. So the statistics now is actually from 7% in 2015, especially in remote areas or least developed countries. And at the moment, we are, I think in 2023 rather, that's about 36% now. So that's a huge shift. And the amazing thing about this is the youths are the ones driving this progress. So if you look at the percentage of youths that get to utilize, of course, the internet and all of that, we are at the forefront. But the question now is, have we been utilizing it rightly? Yeah. But then that's basically what, so the digital pathways trying to explain what are the different means that we can actually use digitalization to achieve the sustainable development goals of the youth.
All right, so right, we'll come to what exactly these digital pathways are, because I don't want us to be talking in with all the
Yeah.
whole grammar and everything and putting it in a box. I want our audience to really get to know exactly what these digital pathways are. But for now, let's just go on a very quick break, and when we return, the discussion will continue. Do not go anywhere. Glad to know you're still there and you are watching Youth Time on Benue Television, and we are discussing the International Youth Day with the theme From Click to Progress, Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development in our Society. I have with me another lady who just joined us. She is a youth advocate and someone who is very passionate about young persons, and also has worked with, is working with a few NGOs trying to, impact in the society. Her name is Stephanie. Oh yeah, it's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's good to be here.
And I hope you're feeling great.
Yeah, talking about youth, I always feel great.
You always feel great.
Yes.
All right. So before you joined, we talked about the reason for this celebration and also the theme for this year, which we said is something very something we can relate with. The theme for this year, which I've earlier said, complete where digital pathways for sustainable development. So just before we move forward and get to what digital pathways are, I just want to get your own opinion on the theme for this particular year.
Okay. The theme is clear.
Yeah.
From clicks to progress. That is UN knowing that they have to partner with the youth to be able to achieve the Agenda 2030. And if you look at it, 18% of the global population is the youth, and they are the forefront of digital technology. In short, we live with it. It's us, and it's in us. You cannot separate youth from digital technology. So it's bringing youth to channel their energy rightly, to be able to use digital technology to channel the voices of youth and every other developmental change that will be happening around the world.
Okay, right now I want us to talk about mainly what these digital pathways are, like we said, because like I said earlier, I don't want us to leave our audience in the box. When we talk about it, I want them to know exactly what we are referring to, exactly what are these digital pathways that they can access and be able to use to create development in society?
Okay, so digital pathways. So I will begin from the very basic, which is like our mobile devices. That's like what every youth. I don't think you would find, well, you could have people in probably remote areas who do not have access to such devices. But then that's like one basic aspect when you're talking about digital pathways. So the other aspects, of course, talking about digital processes, the social media is a platform. So you're talking about devices, you're talking about platforms, you're talking about processes, especially in the form of advocacy, awareness, then people offering their services in the form of volunteering is also part of the pathways. So anything around the devices, anything around the processes that's involved, and as well anything around the ways and strategies in which you can achieve that, they are all digital pathways. So it's not just focused on technology or the AI like we know and all of that. So every aspect is focused on these pathways.
All right. Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah, I'll add the content.
Okay. All right.
The content that involves in this digitalization, because we can channel our energy into anything and it's going to sell out. So the contents of everything concerning, okay, this, we have these devices, we have the process of everything, and then what content we share out. So those are basically digital pathways. So we can everything pathways.
Okay. All right. So let's now look at how the role of young persons when it comes to using these digital pathways in developing the society. Exactly how can it be used? What ways can these digital technologies be used to be able to create development in society? Practical examples of this.
Let me use influencers.
Okay.
Yes. They drag a lot of attention on social media. I will use a recent Gogogongo. Yes, you could see that Benjita did that basically in his backyard, and it flared up. So if youths can be empowered with the right information, children, let's say children, they watch cartoons a lot. If there are cartoons saying, okay, if you drop this here and reinforce, it's going to block this pathway, and the person there, those are part of digital processes that can spread the message we are giving. So we have seen that even without the information, influencers are doing a very good job with this. So imagine infusing education and what sustainable development in this digitalization. See where it will go.
Okay. All right. So you talked about opportunity, equipping them with the necessary information they need. But do you think we have a lot of opportunities, or there has been enough awareness that is really needed when it comes to all these digital pathways, digital technology, that we go a long way in helping the society?
The awareness is there, but I would say it hasn't been channeled properly. A lot of people are not happy with the use of social media. They say it's bad influence, but young people are there. So if you could tell us that, okay, work on this so thing, this is what is going to happen, this is what you're doing, this is the part of SDG, this is the number of SDG you are addressing, I will see that there are a lot of youths that mean well that will do this. So the awareness is not there, is there, but it's not rightly channeled.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I would say.
Okay, for you, what's your own opinion?
Okay.
And do we have much opportunities and awareness when it comes to this particular issue?
Okay, so let me begin with saying that like nothing is actually bad in its sense, but it depends on the utilization. So we have the opportunities out there. I mean, we have lots and lots of opportunities. We have lots of non-governmental organizations or non-profits giving a lot, and of course bringing out various ways youth can actually learn, grow, and all of that. But I want to begin from the part of the mindset. Yes, so the mindset of we as youth, as of, so there's one thing I've noticed with youth. So my personal strategy is usually, I have like a strategy that works for me. So it's like a 3C approach. So if I'm waking up each day, I don't consume first.
Okay.
I create. So it's made me come to that point of understanding that I must be a contributor in whatever space I am, whatever I am doing, before I become someone who is getting, of course, consuming. So with that, over time, I began to understand that you won't see me, maybe the first thing I'm doing, of course, is to go on social media to check all of those contents. Have I written something that I need to do? This is just like personal. So I'm trying to say that the opportunities are out there, but most times when we go online, we are not intentionally utilizing those opportunities. Someone asked me yesterday that how can I get access to local and global opportunities, and I was like, it's there available for everyone, right? But then we don't have the patience to sit and search. So your question is just like really clear. They're all out there, it's available. She mentioned something around the awareness is out there, which is of course very true. But then, are we utilizing that awareness we've gotten, and what strategy are we deploying to ensure that what we've actually understood, are we practicing it? Because sometimes you get knowledge for yourself and then you're not deploying it. So if you don't deploy it, you don't see the level you are or the growth you've got into, so you can move to the next level. So that's how it has personally worked for me, and as well in the organization.
Okay, all right. So I was watching a particular video, and someone said, he said just like then in the those days, for our forefathers, then their, let's say, their witchcraft or their magic was their ability to be able to chase the colonial masters out then in those days. But now the magic, the superpower for the young persons is technology, as it is right now, because that is what they can use to change anything, which is what is becoming the society. But it seems like the society itself, the country itself, maybe even the leaders in the country, and are feeling very, as in, they're very reluctant to allowing this technology come into the society and come and create a change and bring about development. Would you agree with this person and say, okay, we are still not adapting, though technology is here, but we're still not adapting to it, we're still not receiving it wholeheartedly the way it's supposed to be done?
Okay, so this brings me back to 2020 when COVID happened. And everything you've said, I could just narrow and look at how it played out at that time. Yeah, there were some persons who had gone far ahead of us. They were finding it difficult to utilize some of these video conferencing platforms, which are still part of the technology we are talking about. So there's still that digital divide between those who are far ahead and the current people, of course we youths, right?
Yeah.
So they just probably feel that we have been utilizing it the wrong way, and there's this fear I see that, especially AI, with the recent developments, there's been this fear with them, saying that, oh, with this youths would erupt the society and so many things could just occur. So I would just say that there's been a digital divide and there's a communication gap between them and us. So I don't know if I'm supposed to give an advice to this, but then I'll just let you, but that's like my focus. I feel like that gap has made them feel that this is the way it is, and they've not embraced the technological space as much as it should. So if they're able to embrace it well, then they could see the beauty in the innovation that it's bringing, and with that gap would reduce to a minimal point. and of course the youth be able to become much more better than they are right now.
Okay, all right. Stephanie, love to add something to what she has said so far.
I totally agree with her. The fear, and I fear the fear is not just about we invading the society. The fear is us overtaking them. You agree with me that even us here, the next generation coming is wiser than us.
Very.
They have seen and they know that okay, if we give the space, if they give us a mile, a yard, we'll take a mile. And definitely we'll do that.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that we want to change, but there is this restriction. So the fear, they are the fear is there.
All right. Okay. So we're due for another break, and when we return, we're going to be looking at the areas in which technology can bring about advancements in the society. Don't go anywhere. This is still you time on Benue Television. Welcome back, and glad to know you are still there with us on the program. This is still your time on Benue Television. Right now we are still discussing and celebrating our young person in the society, and I hope you've been enjoying the program so far. Okay, Stephanie, over to you. I want us now to talk about the ways in which technology can bring about advancement. Technological advancement can come about in the society, if I may put it that way. So because this, what we are talking about is digital pathways, how it can lead to sustainable development, and technological advancements in society will go a long way. So in what ways, the different ways in which technology could help?
Okay, technology could help in our educational sector.
Okay.
Yes, bringing on facilities and even courses that, let's say, it's not just basic computer science where we learn binary 0111 in primary school. We have to move from learning binary codes. Yes, because primary school, I don't know if they do it in primary school yet, but if I remember in my secondary school, I was learning binary numbers, abacus. Yes. So we have to move from learning abacus. Abacus is far gone. We have to, let's teach our children how to utilize AI rightly. I think in the US you could see that college students, or let's say high school students, they do programming. Yes. But we struggle with this programming in the university. But this is what these people do in high school. You could see the recent tap swap. It was a project for a high school student.
When I heard that, I was like, wow.
And look at the way
And he puts the whole country on their toes.
You see people tapping with even their legs. That is how
technology
have gone in that way. If we don't need to necessarily reach there, but if we can get close to that, it's going to really help us. And then let's say our market women, we can encourage them to like publicize what they sell. The use of social media rightly. you're selling this farming. Okay, this is what you're farming. You see the beautiful pictures. You come online, people post. They don't go to. They go to farms. We farm a lot, but we don't do any of that online. So it's like we are repeating pictures. Okay, the same grain this year is not going to be the same grain next year, but we use one grain or two on the farm.
Yeah.
So if we can utilize our social media rightly, it's going to bring about progress in the society. And I will say advocacy. We can use this digital technology to do good advocacy, because if you're waking up, like she's saying, after creating, you're thinking of the next content on my page should be addressing something. That's a very good advocacy, and it's going to help a lot. You will see that, you know, these influencers, they switch a lot. What they see that is selling, that is what they go for.
Yes.
So if we get to do that, it will shock you that even them will move from just making people laugh to like doing these advocacies. So we are going to grow a lot.
All right. Okay. And our doctor.
Okay, so I would come in the line of gamification.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying that, I've seen that a number of persons that has brought that in has improved the level of people's desire to study and grow. That's because, of course, as youth, you find that we are just sort of interested in stuff around, I won't say for pleasure, but at least something that you're actually learning, but then you're also doing something on the side that will just keep you alive. So you find a lot of persons who have apps that has an aspect of, for instance, Duolingo, right? So you see the fact that you have, what is it called, strap, or what's that, something that keeps you like it just keeps you continuously going, and you want to get to that height. I think to go had that as well. So you see people wanting to get to that particular height. So you're learning the language, right? But then because of that particular tag, you just want to keep growing. But then the learning is still there. Though there are some persons that they just do it for fun and they just want to move. So I'm coming from that angle, because I've also seen this for persons with disabilities. I would not speak and not talk about persons with disabilities, because the communication gap with the society and the discrimination that they experience is actually a lot. But currently, we discover that from the statistics we carried out, about 90% of young persons with disabilities are out of school, especially in remote areas. So what are we doing now? We're now bringing up creative ways and digital innovations that could help improve their quality of living. So one of the ways, since we said we are not just this digital pathways, we're not just talking about technology, we're talking about, of course, the social media strategies, the content, and all of that. One of the ways that at Yield Up Development Initiative, one thing we are doing is to have like sections that improve their creativity.
Okay.
So what they do,
sorry to just interrupt you, but when you talk about creative ways in which you can improve the quality of living for people with disabilities, and someone will say you cannot be disabled and poor, because yes, that's it. And one of the reasons why we have maybe most of these people who are disabled out of school or not even living a very good life is because maybe those instruments, those technologies, those machines that they could use to help themselves are really not affordable. That's just it, and that's just already a challenge, because we have a lot of people in Nigeria who are disabled, and most of them, let me just say, like 60% of them are in the very, not the poor class, but that group of people which are not living so good. So how do we come out? How do we solve that kind of issue? Because that's one of the main issues we're having in the country at the moment.
Okay. So I would first say acceptance. Yes, because we were discussing earlier on, just before we began, that we've not fully accepted them, and we've not seen them as people who have the abilities to do the same thing that you and I can do. So if we begin with accepting them that way, if we begin with ensuring that when it comes to employment, I'm glad that we have amazing opportunities online that states that as a person with disability you can apply and all of that. But to tell you the truth, being in this space and also seeing how it runs, most times they go for these jobs, of course apply like every other person, do well, but at the end of the day, because of the limitation and accessibility in Nigeria, they don't get the job. For instance, I knew that getting to, imagine the job is at the 3rd floor and someone who has difficulty in working, so how would the person get there? So we do not have those system and structure that would enable every person living exactly. So it means that our institutions, our structures can begin to see how that can be put in place, that we can begin to have futures that ensures that everyone is carried along. For instance, you have a book that you've written for someone who is probably let's say visually impaired. How would the person be able to read that book if we don't have a feature that enables the person? So for someone who, let's say you're listening to a podcast, for someone who is hearing impaired, how would the person be able to listen? So that's why it is encouraged that you have an event, you should have a sign language interpreter, you should have brailles that would also support the persons who are impaired visually. So all of these things are things that we have to put in place, but they are not there right now. So the question is, how do we get there? So it begins with we as individuals, as we are creating solutions in our different spaces. As a youth advocate, we can begin from where we are. So when you see a person with disability, how are you able to support them? So most at times, because of that limitation, they're trying to do something, you're going to help them out. You actually did not ask, how can I help you? So these are certain things that when they see, they shy away and they just want to be isolated because of that neglect has been there. So we can begin from where we are, and that's why we were now looking at creating like a particular inclusive website that would be incorporating the sign languages and as well the braille. So inclusion generally just helps you understand how to ensure that everyone is being carried along and no one is left behind. So you can also bring in multilingual languages. So imagine that you have a resource for somebody and this person doesn't understand English. So in that situation, what do we do? So that's why people have websites that can now translate to other languages, but we don't have them so much out there. So it begins with us as youth, as we are creating these digital solutions using AI, our social media platforms and all of that. Can we begin to see how to infuse these features that can ensure that everyone and no one is left behind?
All right, okay, that's one aspect. Stephanie, I want us to talk about how technology can be infused into the economic sector of the country and maybe even the states and help to improve the economy on its own. What do you think can be done in that aspect?
The economic sector.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say me and finance, we are not good friends.
Just try.
So let's say for those selling, I think there are apps that helps you to track how much you made, how your sales go.
Yeah.
Yes, you can introduce these apps to these business owners and even the state particularly, that okay, this is tracking this social thing, and then you see that it's bringing about transparency. And if it's coming from the government, it will be like, okay, even the government is into this thing, why don't I kill in? And when there is traffic on something, that is when you make money.
Yeah.
So, and I will still emphasize on the use of publicity. Let's publicize our products on social media. Most of the sales now is, you wake up one day, I don't want to go to the market, but you're scrolling through your phone and you're saying something that, okay, I can get this. That is, you're making through a digital platform, and there is a revenue that comes with that. So we can encourage the use of social media to and bring in technological aspects, is it advanced Excel and all. I'm not really good with that.
Okay, all
We
right.
can bring those softwares that can be used to, okay, if you do this and do this, this is how it's going to be. And I think that the last finance thing in my office, the guy was able to he used advanced Excel to track the runnings of our finance from like 3 years. You could see that it was programmed in such a way that if you have input this figure here, that this is what you've spent, it's automatically going to give you the total, like an accrued level of that. So if we can train business owners in this, even if you may subscribe with that, take it that instead of sitting to calculate this thing, I can just put my unit cost here, and it's going to add up how much I'm supposed to sell, and it's going to give me that, okay, at the end of the month I've sold this is what I'm making. So definitely people will keep in.
Okay, so maybe it's on to something that you will really like. Let's look at governance right now. How the theme for this year, how it pertains to governance. What ways can it affect governance in the states and in the country? Because it said sustainable development, and it's wholesome. It goes a long way. It covers governance. So in what ways can this particular thing come in handy when it comes to governance?
Like I keep saying, partnership.
Okay.
They need to see us as partners, not beneficiaries. Because if you don't come down to sit with us, you will never know that this is what our problem is. So they have to partner. Okay, and the question is the government really interested in the sustainable development goals? If they are, they will definitely find it, because I see that it's just the civil society that champion this SDG mostly. You see them, okay, this thing we are doing, which SDG is it aligning with? You hardly see a government body working, except the ones attached or close to humanitarian. You hardly see them working and asking, okay, which SDG, or you looking at whatever they have brought up and you're saying that, oh, this is addressing SDG 13, this is addressing. It's hard to see that. So they need to do partnership. The thing of civil society working on their own and government working their own, I think we need to come together, because when we come together we can do more. The government wants what we have. They need what we have, the civil society, and we need what the government has too. So yes, we need to partner. That's just, for me, it's just partnership. When we partner and align interests, we'll see that, okay, this agenda 2030 is going to come in handy.
Okay, you have talked about partnership. I want to look from a way of, the citizens holding the government accountable. And when you look at digital pathways and the citizens holding the government accountable. Yes, Praise, I want you to talk about that, because ways in which we as citizens can be able to look at, okay, during your election you promised us that you're going to buy us biscuits when you come in. So that kind of thing. Now, is there something like that is there a way it can go hand in hand?
Well, it's possible, and I know some organizations already doing something like that, even in Benue, right? And they are trying to track what the government is doing, and of course at the end of the day we see it out there for us to see, are we actually on the same page from what was said? And when she was talking, that was like the first thing that came to my mind: accountability. Because once I hear governance, my mind goes to accountability.
I shied away from that. I just have to bring it up.
I knew that she was going to bring it up. Yeah, but I didn't know it was going to come to me. But then I'll just summarily say that it's possible, and across the country people are doing that. But has it been really, my question is, has it been very much effective?
Yes.
Has it been effective? As the government embraced it to the point? So I'm just wondering, so when those outcomes are stated, and probably they see it, what is being done. That's a part I don't know. Maybe she has so much to share on that. But then that's like my question. I know that we have people doing that, and in fact, one thing that came to my mind is even on social media, I've seen polls. People create polls trying to state, okay, this was what we started with, the manifesto. Let me use that word, especially in the manifesto, and where we are. Do you think, in fact, when you see the rates, it's far, the rates, it's really far. So, and I keep asking myself that question, and it's something that has been on my mind. I'm glad you brought it. So, do you think there's been progress since we're talking about it?
Since you decided to pull me by idea. Okay, there is something that's a program, a project that is in Benue. Let me talk about Benue, that is currently tracking the governor's manifesto. His manifesto is then searching. Yes. So going through the manifesto, because of this project I have to read the manifesto. That's some things I've not even catched up in my head, but I think you see that there are over 280 something promises in that manifesto. So as at his 1 year in office, we tracked a number of the promises. And based on the fact that the project is a year old, with ensure the project is the same as the government, we are saying that he is actually doing well. Yes, because right now I had to ask, so after the tracking, what do we do with information? My boss is like, the masses will decide what to do with the government. So now us, we say, for every project or for every promise we track, we link it to a section in his manifesto, because there's security, there's accountability, there's economic, there's agriculture. Making that search is just like an acronym of the initial
thing like that.
Yes.
So we can see that things like this are actually accounted. If we have more organizations, or we won't have digital technologies that are able to do this, it's going a long way to help and make.
So right now I'm updated on this government because I am part of that project. And if you see that, okay, if we involve more youth, you see that, okay, these people promise us this. This is where we are headed. I will know that, okay, you promise this, you not do it. But it is when we don't have. Okay, I went back to check the previous government, and to be sincere, I didn't find any of their manifesto anywhere.
Okay, all right.
But this one is currently online.
Yes, it's online. You can see that, okay, it's there. And if you look at the projects that is tracking it, you see that, okay, it's always linking to something in the manifesto. So we can say for now that he's doing well. And if we want to hold him accountable, we still can. Yes.
All right. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Our time is almost up, and I want you, please, to just give a message to our viewers out there, that young person who is watching in this particular day in which we're celebrating the young persons in our state and in our society. I just want you to give them a message, something to take home with and remember.
Okay, so from the beginning, like I said, it's a good time to be a youth, and for me, it's also much more amazing to see that this team is something we are talking about. So I would encourage every youth to embrace collaboration. It's something I will keep voicing out, because most times we just want to be the one taking the lead. It's amazing to have great ideas, but if you don't have the right strategies to deploy those ideas, they remain with you. They may be making waves, but not as much as it's made if you were collaborating with others, because no one can do much more individually than you can do collectively, right? So I would say embrace that. Ensure that you have a place where you are deploying your skills. I started with saying something about the mindset. So there are 3 key things I see that this team focuses on. The mindset, talking about the pathways, right? The mindset in deploying those tools. The tool set itself, which is what we've talked about, that's the digital tools, right? So we have to understand what the tools are and how to utilize them. Then the third aspect for me is the skill, because if you don't have the necessary skills to be able to manage the tools that you have, then you're far gone. And one skill I see that youths have not embraced so much is soft skills. So please, these are certain skills needed in the workplace. Embrace the emotional intelligence skills, the negotiation skills, all of the necessary leadership skills that would help you achieve much more. Then of course you will do much more with that.
All right, thank you very much, Praise. Thank you very much, Stephanie. It was a really interesting time with you here on New Time. I'm very grateful. And just to add to what she has said, someone once said, if you walk alone you walk fast, but when you walk with people you reach your destination. So today, as you go out, please, I hope you embrace collaboration. You remember that as a young person you have a lot of opportunities and you're able to actualize your dream. Don't let your youthful age waste away. Do something that will impact in society and make society and create a change in the society. So till I come your way next week with another interesting topic, I remain Dorcas Chia. Have a lovely day.
With millions of people watching Benue TV worldwide, we ensure that we bring you news that is accurate, timely, and dependable.
Our programs are entertaining and